Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. This is a follow-up to the Orisa video that I made earlier today, talking about a concept for a new ultimate for Orisa to replace the Supercharger, because if you didn't know, Mercy has a new ultimate, and part of it basically is the Supercharger. But in addition to that, Mercy also gets like a ton of other stuff. So she can basically do everything that Orisa's ultimate can, and then like a ton more stuff. I've fully explained it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the first video that I put out earlier today. I'll put a link down below, and one should be popping up on the screen too, so you can watch that. So go watch the video, come back, and then you can watch this follow-up. So basically, I wanted to address some of the things that people were bringing up about the issues with this new ultimate concept that I had. So here's the basic idea of the ultimate. Whenever the bongo is on the ground, any of the enemies that have line of sight to the bongo, let's say within like 40 meters or so, will act as if they're stuck inside of a Junkrat trap. So they're completely immobilized, they can't move, and they can't use any movement abilities. So no charges, no blinks, no flight, no none of that stuff. But they're not defenseless. You know, they can still shoot at any target they want to, and they can still use any of the other abilities that they want to. So if it's a Reinhardt, he can just lift his shield. If it's a Genji, then he can just deflect any of the incoming shots at him. The thing is you just can't move. Now, another thing is the Bongo ultimate would not deal damage, whereas some of the other kind of slightly similar ultimates that people have compared it to will actually deal damage. So like Mei's Freezing Field deals damage over time, Zarya's ultimate deals damage. Granted, it's a very small amount, but the Orisa Bongo wouldn't do any of that. It would simply lock everybody down in place. Now, if you're dealing with like a pharmacy up in the air, they would basically just fall to the ground and then they would be stuck there for the duration. So I saw some people trying to compare it to Mei's Freezing Field and Zarya's ultimate, and while there might be a few similarities, they're definitely completely different ultimates. So for Mei's Freezing Field, it's not an immobilization to begin with, okay? Mei's Freezing Field is a slow that turns into a full stun, and the ultimate that I propose for Orisa is never gonna stun you. It's only an immobilization. Now, the other thing is with Mei's ability, it's a location, it's a spot on the ground, and once you see it appear, you just run out of it. And that's the difference. The Orisa ult that I propose doesn't let you run at all. You're basically locked in like you're stuck in a Junkrat trap. Now, this is kind of similar to Zarya's ult, but again, Zarya's ultimate is a location-based, and it's a very, very small thing. So if you get stuck in that area, then you're immobilized, you can still use abilities and you can still shoot back, but you can't escape the graviton. So the main difference between the Zarya ult and the Orisa one that I proposed is that the Zarya ult will punish an enemy team that's grouped up too close, whereas the Orisa one will punish an enemy team that's spread out way too far. Because if you have your damage dealers way over here and your tanks are over there, then when Orisa drops her ultimate, those damage dealers or the supports or whatever who are not behind or next to their tanks are going to be very, very vulnerable. So that's the major difference between the two. And because of that, certain combos that work well with Zarya wouldn't really work that well, if at all, with the Orisa ultimate. I mean, if you lock the entire enemy team into a Graviton, and then you have like a Junkrat tire or a Hanzo ult, then you can basically destroy the entire enemy team really easily. But if the enemy team is kind of spread out and Orisa drops the Bongo, are you going to try to Hanzo ult that? I mean, you're going to hit like maybe one person, right? So it's not really going to be all that effective. Now, something that would be quite effective to combo with Orisa's new ultimate would be McCree and his High Noon, where normally the enemy team would scatter, now they wouldn't be able to, and you can just line up all those shots and get a bunch more kills than you normally would be able to. Now, some other things that were brought up is, well, can't you just drop the Bongo and prevent the enemy team from getting on the point? Well, again, remember, they can just shoot at the Bongo and try to destroy it. But even then, what is stopping the enemy team from having a Reinhardt, an Orisa, or something on the point already to contest. Sure, you can't move, but you can still defend. You can still shoot if there's like a McCree or a Soldier 76 behind the Reinhardt. You can still act. Nothing is actually preventing you from doing that other stuff. You just can't move. And also, if you're gonna try to like spawn camp with it to prevent the enemy from leaving their spawn, it really wouldn't be worth it, because you're only talking like, what, 8 to 10 seconds at most? So, I mean, you can stall it for a very short amount of time, but that's not enough in order to fully capture a point. Now, one thing that it might actually help out with quite a bit is, let's say you have an Orisa on attack and you're playing Hanamura, and you have to constantly keep dealing with the enemy defenders who are trickling out one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, and you're stuck in like this 5-minute long overtime section, right? You could drop the bongo and then it would prevent it, so it might actually kind of help out with a little bit of that, you know, perpetual stalling nonsense that we kind of have to deal with. So again, just to reiterate, it's an immobilize, not a stun, because I think a lot of people were confused and they thought it was going to be more of like a stun. Like, you can still shoot, you can still use abilities, Reinhardt can still hold up his shield, all that kind of stuff. It just locks down all the enemies. Anyways, I think it would be much, much more fitting with Orisa's character and the lore. And also, keep in mind, the tanks tend to have ultimates that are crowd control type stuff. So the fact that Orisa is the only tank that doesn't actually have crowd control kind of doesn't make any sense. But anyways, again, more discussion down below. Feel free to leave all your comments, and don't forget to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.